So let's get into our game predictions for this week. And you and I end up, I think, in the same spot. And I'm always interested in, because we don't talk about these things. We don't go, hey, what do you think of this game? What do you think of the prediction, the final score? And yet this week there was more divergence in the staff. What have you learned from Penn State and what have you learned from USC that brought you to your final prediction here?
Just watching USC up front, I mean, I think Penn State has an opportunity to dictate both lines of scrimmage, and I know that it's a road game, and Penn State hasn't been really firing on all cylinders. I don't think they're going to fire on all cylinders on Saturday. I don't think so. But USC has shown some weakness there, and I think that's tough to overcome because you're talking about the most effective unit. Like we're going back to West Virginia game, the most effective unit on the field, I think, is going to be Penn State's defensive line, and that's a big deal because that means tip balls. That can mean just throwing the ball away, taking an intentional grounding or something like that. Like those things matter, and I think Penn State's got an opportunity to do that. Now, what they can't do is they can't get ahead of themselves, pin those ears back, get too far up the field. Miller Moss is not a big runner, but he will get a first down. If you give him 14 yards to run 7, he will get that first down. I mean, it's kind of the same things that we've been talking about all year. So you'd like to see them start hot. I haven't seen any evidence that tells me that they're going to start hot. So I think it would be another one of those close games through the first half, and we will see. Special teams has to be better, like flat out. Like there's no like way to dress that one up. Riley Thompson, I thought, was good for the first few weeks of the season, was not good this week. This is going to be a very important game for him. Again, I mentioned if you can get a couple of first downs, pin them back, and make them run the full length of the field, I think it gives you an advantage as a defense. So it's been very interesting to watch that this year play out as compared to last year. Penn State's defense last year was setting them up in great spots. This year, setting them up in good spots, decent spots, but like the field position last year was so much better, and it wasn't really about the kicking game. I think it was more about the defense, and a couple of first downs here and there can flip the field. But those special teamers are going to have to be good. Ryan Barker's going to have to make kicks. Zion Tracy's going to have to catch punts and maybe return punts, but I'd rather him just catch it and then see what goes from there. The thing about USC's punter, he has gotten acclimated to the Big Ten by booming some really, really good punts.
He's trying out for his Iowa scholarship.
I mean, hey, everybody wants to be an Iowa punter, I guess. But no, Michael Lance, he's got, Mike. I'm on the wrong one. Eddie Capel. I'm not even going to try that one, but 16 punts, a 50-yard average. I scrolled right by it, and I've got my microphone in the way here. A 50-yard average. That is very Big Ten. But I will say this: 14 kicks, or excuse me, I will say this, and I'll get the stat wrong. 16 kicks, 4 fair catches. That's interesting to me because what Riley Thompson has done very well is fair catches, no return yards, all that kind of stuff. So be interesting to see if Zion Tracy has an opportunity this week.
So I'm going to just put these up on the screen, but I'll go through these. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can shout your prediction at your headphones or at your speaker and know in spirit we heard you. But I'll read out some of the chat here. David Demkoski starts us off 28-27 or 28-21 Penn State. Steven is back 24-17, a Penn State victory. Ryan Shear, 27-21 Penn State. So far, it's a Penn State blowout in terms of predictions. Franklin, 31. Lincoln Riley, 17. Of course, Franklin Fanatic giving direct...
Shocker there.
Yeah, right. Giving direct credit to James Franklin. Mac, the Mustard Man. For as much as he is our foil in the chat of, hey, like... the opposite of Franklin Fanatic. 27-20. He believes that Penn State is going to win this one. Christian says 27-17. I'm assuming he's going to go the way of Penn State based on some of his comments earlier in the chat. So Penn State is getting a sweep here from our viewers and from me. I think the thing for me is that I've been giving Penn State too many points. But I think that how they end up where they do has been relatively what I've expected. So 28-17 Penn State in this situation. It's going to be a game. And the difference is I trust the Penn State offense to find a way to score because they have done that, whether it is grinding out a drive, explosive plays when they're being given explosive plays, halftime, getting the middle 8 as best they can. They've only really failed to succeed in the middle 8 once so far this year. So I trust Andy Kotelnicki, I trust Drew Aller, and I trust Nick Singleton in the run game to get all that stuff done. It's not that I don't trust the wide receivers. I just can't name everybody on the offense. I generally trust this offense to get points. My biggest concern, and Fitz, this is something I wrote about. I talked about it yesterday on the show. What are they going to do in coverage? Because if they come out and say, we are who we are, maybe they're good enough to stop USC in man coverage. And maybe they're not. And maybe they allow them to hang around and they let them score some points early before they get to that adjustment. And to me, that's the biggest thing is it's not just how Penn State starts in this game. It's what is the belief in who you are and who they are. And can you take advantage of what I think is a very clear blueprint of how to beat USC. So those are the things I think that put the game in the balance. If USC has a chance for this upset, it's if Penn State allows them in the room in that sense.
Yes, but don't forget, I mean, USC's got talent, like they always do. I mean, it's like
Right.
it's kind of Maryland on steroids here. Like I know that is kind of a shot. Like it would seem like a shot at USC, but like always talented on the outside. Got a guy that can get them the ball in Miller Moss. It's just going to be about those those 5 guys up front, those 4 guys on the other side that are up front. Like that is to me is what it's going to come down to. I don't think I said my score. It was 24-19 is what I had. I don't know how USC is getting 19, but it can be an odd score. I don't care. Penn State's going to have an opportunity to dictate up front, and I think that I don't want to say it slows the game down, but it changes the way that we've seen games. We've seen Penn State have, I think, 7.5 drives per game, about 8 drives per game. I think given how USC plays, you might see that number above 10 this week. So I think you'll see more drives. I know that the college game has changed with the running clock, but you might see more drives. You might see more plays this week. And I think that that's advantageous for Penn State, gives Nick Singleton more chances to score.
Coming up from us at bluewhiteillustrated.com, something we like to do every week. I believe we're going to be back. The Friday chat is coming up tomorrow. So tell people what the Friday chat is and how they subscribe so that they can get in and continue this conversation with us tomorrow.
Yes, the Friday chat, you can get with me. You can get with T. Frank, Ryan Snyder, Greg Pickle, and of course, Nate Bauer, answering your questions all day. Just basically anything you want to know about Penn State that we can hopefully tell you. We sort of have as a running chat. It's not just hey, you're the first question, you're the first answer. Because if you're asking a question and somebody always has the answer for you right away, they probably don't have a good answer for you. So we try and, bounce this off of our contacts, see what these people think and see how that works out. So it's definitely always a good time, depending, even if Nate's running it, it's a good time. But no, definitely check us out on that. That is where some of the best stuff is the chat, because I'm not putting all my good stuff in articles. Like the board is the place to go to, sort of say the stuff that you can't say in the public sphere of articles. So the best stuff that we get doesn't come from quotes, doesn't come from all the on record stuff that you hear all the week. It comes from everything that we know from talking to our people. And I feel like we're connected unlike anyone else. So check us out. Promo code we are on bluewhiteillustrated.com. A lot of good stuff. And hopefully the next time I see you, T. Frank, will be Saturday and everybody will be happy. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
One more plug. I know this is not the show that they sponsor, but don't forget Anti-Fragile, drinking for a cause to help hurricane victims down south. $1 for every beer sold on Saturday is going to go to that. So, if you're in town, if you're in State College and hanging around, it's always good to drink for a good cause. So I wanted to pump that before we got out of there.
Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful day today, and they've got a nice patio with an overhang, so you can go and drink outside. In October, one of the best times to do that. So appreciate you mentioning that as we get out of here.